everybody. I'm going to give an overview about the purpose and philosophy of this Biosphere Reserve. I'm not going to do the details of it. In the last 2 days, I've been listening to experts who have done wonderful work over a period of time. Friends, I've been in the field in the last 45 years. When we started these environment movements in the context of Nilgiris, we did not have any of these knowledge basket. I'm happy to see so much knowledge, so much scientific knowledge, information had been generated. So I had been listening to them in the last couple of days, and I don't intend to repeat all that for two reasons. Number one, I'm not a scientist. The other reason being, I want to concentrate the purpose, not the objective or the function of the Biosphere Reserve, but the original purpose, how it came and how it has evolved for a period of time, and wondering if this is integral to our Indian philosophical tradition. It's a purpose, the philosophy of the Biosphere Reserve, how it evolved. I think it's very important. That will give an overall a sense of where do we place the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve in the larger context, the philosophy landscape of this country. This concept of biosphere is exactly 100 years old. Next year, 2026, it will complete 100 years. So in a way, it's very appropriate. The Nilgiris friends have organized this conference during the 100th year of that great philosophy. It was first propounded by a Russian-Ukrainian scientist, Vladimir Vernadsky. He wrote his classic monumental book, La Biosphere, in 1926. Next year, it will be 40 years of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, 100 years of the Biosphere Reserve concept, and 40 years of the Environment Protection Act, which will come to it later. And now this philosophy of biosphere, the reserve came much later. The philosophy of biosphere, that the Russian-Ukrainian scientists propounded, it's just after the First World War. He was a man of peace. UNESCO is about all peace. Peace, yeah. He was worried about that. And he passed away in the year 1945, just after the Second World War. So it was evolving. He was terribly worried about the future of mankind. What's happening to the man? The science, how science can destroy this world, not create a new civilization. So the concept was accepted by UNESCO in the year 1771, and it was developed into the Man and Biosphere Reserve map. Well, the operation details of it. It had three functions. It was discussed in the last couple of days. The conservation, the development, and the logistics. How it's operationalized through zoning of the core and the buffer and the transition, the multipurpose. It's not watertight compartment, so you can develop it. That's the whole idea of it. Friends, it's a very, very beautiful philosophy. It's a very balanced kind of thing. we want to bring uh, the great principles of uh, the Buddhist philosophy into it, it's the middle path, the conservation and the people. You marry them. The sustainable development concept is nothing but the middle path. There's nothing new in this. It came from the West, but it's there in our philosophy. And this biosphere concept of it, categorizing the landscape into different ecosystems, it's nothing new in this tradition. The Tamils have a concept called the Tinai. Tinai is nothing but biosphere. The Tinai has 5 categories. Kurinji, Mullai, Marudam, Neithal, Panai. Kurinji is the mountain. Come a little below, you have the forest, Mullai. You go a little down, you have the agriculture. It's Marudam. And you go further, you reach Neithal. It's the coastal ecosystem. During the dry season, it becomes Panai. So there's nothing new. These concepts, the zoning of this, the ecosystem, the landscape, it's been very minutely discussed in our tradition. Oh, someday, maybe I'll write a book on this. Well, coming to the Nilgiri biosphere context of it, Professor Sukumar called it's just a label. And most of you will agree. There was a paper circulated by Siddharth, by Professor Priya, which says they've been just enhancing the nomenclature. There's nothing new in this. But I would describe this as a sleeping beauty, waiting for the prince to come and touch it so that it can work. Such a wonderful scheme it is. For the first time, see, we have the Colonial Forest Act. The Wildlife Protection Act is totally antagonistic to people. Professor Madha Godgill described the Wildlife Protection Act as anti-constitutional, anti-people, and anti-science. I'm quoting a great ecologist. It's not mine. So in the Indian context, 1.4 billion people. Out of this 1.4 billion people, 65 to 66% of the people scratch the earth to make a living. It's a biomass-based civilization, whether you like it or not. How much the different governments try to make it an industrial economy, no, it will not happen. It didn't happen because we are a biomass-based civilization. People live on the land. It's not livelihood. It's our culture. It's our tradition. And 1.4 billion people. The land is static. The population is expanding. Forest Department has 22 to 20% of the total land mass. That has been excluded. So where will the people go? You can't go there, you can't go there. This is prohibited, this is prohibited. We are a people's democracy. Conservation is essential. We will oppose conservation. It is the entity on which we live. It's as simple as that. But conservation has to marry the people's demand into it. Otherwise, it becomes irrelevant. So, from that aspect, marrying the people into this, the conservation aspect of it, that's why it's called the man and biosphere. The founder of this concept, Vladimir, famously observed, it's a beautiful quote, man is a biosphere. What a beautiful statement that. 100 years ago. Man is a biosphere. As much as the wild elements have their right in the national park sanctuary, man is equally entitled to all those rights. We share this planet. We are part of it. This philosophy, which came from the West, Russia, 100 years old, it had always been in our tradition. The great Buddha has said, life is interrelated, therefore it's interdependent. The Biosphere concept is all about that, nothing more. Now, coming to the more specific Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, it has different zones. How it's legally protected or not protected. The core zone part of it, it's very well protected because of the national parks and the sanctuaries. No need to worry about that. Our concern is about the buffer area. They say the buffer area should be a kind of shock absorber. Again, it's conservation centric, not people centric. The buffer area should allow people to harmoniously live in an environment friendly way. But the buffer is not protected. It's 40 years old, 1986. Dr. Sumar and S.K. Banding inaugurated it on the 1st September 86. Next year it will be 40 years. I've been involved in the great program in the last. As I said, it's a sleeping beauty. Though it's a sleeping beauty, I've been using it as a scarecrow to chase all the wild eagles who come with their questionable motives. I very effectively used it. It's reason it's Biosphere Reserve, you can't touch it. You can't touch it. If you had questioned it how, I wouldn't have an answer. It's a paper, it's a label. It's just an answer, it's the nomenclature. There's nothing there. But all said and done, as Professor Sumar has been saying it yesterday, Nilgiris is still intact on the whole its globe. There's environmental conscious people, and we got rid of all the polluting industries. There's no polluting industries there. We have good policies, we have good legislations, but the implementation part of it, there are problems. So therefore, we do not have a legal framework to protect our the buffer area of bios and the transition. Now, the biosphere is a map. It's not a local concept. It's an international program. Therefore, we are bound by, rather advised by, the different protocols, the strategies that has evolved along with the Man and Biosphere program. It's not as if the Man and Biosphere program was started in UNESCO in 1970 and it's static. No, it has been evolving. The UNESCO has been kind of upgrading it. It has different protocols, working plans over a period of time. Two of them are very important. One is the civil strategy of 1986. 95, I'm sorry. 1995. The other one is the Lima Working Plan of 2015. Both these protocols of the Biosphere Reserve mandate that the member countries should have a legal framework to implement this. But what we have done, the government of India and the state governments of them, they try to incorporate into existing legal framework. But in the process, the buffer areas were left out. The transition zones was a free for all. It needs some kind of a regulation because it's a biosphere reserve. If it has to continue as a biosphere reserve, we have to protect the buffer in the same way that we protect the core area. The buffer is not doesn't part in any way, and the transition is a free for all. I will read certain passages from both the protocols, the civil strategy as well as the Lima working plan, that will give us the direction in which the Man and Biosphere program had been progressing, that UNESCO has been taking it over, how it is evolved over a period of time, that we had left out. We are blissfully ignorant. I didn't want to know about it. We have got to know because it's an international program. It's an international endeavor. According to these two instruments, the MAP program of individual nations should fulfill the following tasks and responsibilities. MAP should be used as the operational tool to implement the Convention of Biological Diversity and Agenda 21. Justice Nambiar has just mentioned, referred to this Convention of Biological Diversity. Friends, in 1992, in the Earth Conference, these two documents emerged. Convention of Biological Diversity, it's a binding convention. India has ratified it and followed it by the Biodiversity Act of 2002. And Agenda 21 is a soft instrument which gives a kind of blueprint for the future. Agenda 21 is the same itself. So, UNESCO, the MAP program, perceives the MAN program, MAP, to be the implementing tools to operationalize the convention, CBD. CBD has three objectives: conservation, sustainable use of resources, and benefit sharing. The ecology, the economy, and the ethics, the equity part of it. So, in any program, these three components are mandatory. Otherwise, it will lose its balance. The conservation aspect, the ecology aspect, the economics, and the equity part of it. In the Indian context, in the more specifically in the biosphere concept, these three principles have been very beautifully MAP should carry out the advisory directions of the two said protocols. It's not as if it's not mandatory for member countries not to implement these protocols. They say, no, you should. The beginning, it was a different thing. But over a period of time, in 1995, the civil strategy in Spain, and in 2000, in 2015, it was the Lima protocol. Just some quotes from the protocols I will complete it. Make the Man and Biosphere, the MAP program, as a pact between the local community and the society as a whole. Relationship. Reflect more fully the human dimension of the biosphere reserve. Invest in the future. Biosphere reserve should be used to further our understanding of humanity's relationship with the natural world. So, man and biosphere concept. The biosphere concept is all about the relationship. In one of the passages, they say the biological diversity and the cultural diversity are two sides of the same coin. So this is broadly the philosophy part of it. And to protect the buffer area, how it can be protected under the existing legal structure, because we do not have a legal framework for the map in the context of the Nilgiri Biosphere area. That we'll try to explain. I have two distinguished fellow panelists how to protect the buffer part of it and the transition zones, how to incorporate it into the existing legal structure and policy issues. Thank you.